Okay, today we're going to be writing linear equations. So it's really important because this is one of the big concepts in pre-algebra and algebra, and you need to thoroughly understand this. The slope-intercept form. We've been working with this. Y is equal to mx plus b. M, the coefficient of x, is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. So when asked to write an equation, you need to know two things, the slope and the y-intercept. And there's going to be three types of problems that you will face to find these. We'll start with type 1. When you're writing an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 6, you need to know two things, the slope and the y-intercept. Those two things were given for you. Now you just put them in slope-intercept form and plug them in place of m and b. All right, so we're going to write the equation of a line that has a y-intercept of -3 and a slope of -4. So again, we know that two things we need to know. M is equal to -4. B is equal to -3. Substitute them in to this form. So we would have our -4x. And since this is a -3, I'm going to go ahead and write -3, and y is equal, which makes it very obviously the second choice. So for type 2, in type 2, we're given the slope and a point. So we need two things. We need our slope, and it's given, and the y-intercept, but it's not. However, we have the slope-intercept form, and we could actually plug in our ordered pair, 2, 1, remember that's an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate on that line, in place of the x and the y in our equation, and then solve for b. So we would get 1 is equal to 3 times 2 plus b. So solving the equation for b would give us -5. So now that we have the two things we need, slope is 3 and the y-intercept is a -5, put them in the right form. Finally, type 3. We're going to write an equation of a line that goes through the points -2, 1 and 4, 2. Recalling that we can calculate slope when given 2 points. So we don't know the slope and we don't know the y-intercept, and it happens to not be one of these points. Sometimes the y-intercept will be one of the points, which would make it a little bit easier. So use the slope formula to calculate it with the change in y over the change in x. Then you can calculate what your slope is and simplify. So slope is going to be 1/6. Okay, so now we know the slope. We need two things. We know our slope. We need to calculate our y-intercept, and now we've kind of changed it into a type 2 problem. We can use one of the points, and it's up to you which one you think looks easiest to use. Again, one of the points might be the y-intercept, and then there's no need to go through this step. But if I use the 4, 2, because they're both positive, substitute in the 2 for y, and the 4 for x, and then solve. So we've substituted it in. We're going to simplify to solve for b. So when we multiply 1/6 times 4, we get 2/3. We will subtract 2/3 from both sides, and we'll get 1 1/3 equal to b, so that now we have the slope and the y-intercept we can put them into the equation. All right, let's give this a try. Let's write an equation of the line that goes through the points 0, 1, and 1, 4. To calculate the slope, you could take 4 minus 1 over 1 minus 0, which would be 3 over 1. So if m is equal to 3, how many of you recognized that this is the y-intercept? A positive 1. So y is equal to 3x plus 1. Okay, now we need to talk about parallel lines. Remember that they have the same slope. So if we could find the slope of the original line, we could use that slope to graph the new line and write the equation of the new line. So we're going to actually write the equation of a line that is parallel to the given line that's going to be on the graph and goes through the point 0, -1. So the original line is right here. So let's go ahead and I'll write the equation of this line. So the graph of this line, the one that's on the graph right now, is y is equal to 3 over 5x minus 3, because it's crossing the y-axis at a -3. And we're going to find a parallel line that goes through the point 0, -1. So one thing that we know to be true is that the slope of this line is 3 over 5, and since parallel lines have the same slope, our new line will have that slope as well. Since it goes through 0, -1, we also already know the y-intercept. And then you could draw the line, or at least come up with the equation of the new line. So if we write the equation of the new line, it would be y is equal to 3 over 5x minus 1, because it goes through the new point. So it's a different y-intercept with parallel lines. Okay? Remember what we learned about perpendicular lines. They have opposite reciprocal slopes. So you find the slope of the original line, and then you change the sign, invert the numerator and denominator of the slope, and then you can also write the equation. So, in this case, we have this line, and the equation of this line would be y is equal to a negative 3 over 4x, and it's plus 3 because it crosses the y-axis at a positive 3. So the slope of this line is a negative 3/4, and the perpendicular slope would be a positive 4 over 3. And the graph would go like this. So what we have to realize is if we have the slope, what we're missing is the y-intercept, and the point they give us is the point where it crosses the x-axis. So we'll use that information like a type 2 problem, and we'll put in 0 is equal to the new slope, 4 over 3 times the x, so I'm taking the x and the y from here, plus b. So 0 equals 4 over 3 plus b. So I'll subtract 4/3, it's going right over all the types here. And I'll get an equation of a line that looks like this. Y is equal to 4 over 3x minus 4 over 3. And you can kind of see that the point where it crosses is actually kind of like at the negative 1 1/3. So we're going to write an equation of the line that is parallel and perpendicular to the line y equals 2x minus 1 and passes through the point 0, negative 8. So we'll start with our original. So I'll do two columns here. I'll do the parallel and I'll do the perpendicular. Okay, for the new parallel line, the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is given by the point. So it is real easy to come up with this equation, 2x minus 8. For the perpendicular line, the new slope will be a negative 1 over 2, but it will have the same y-intercept. So the equation of a line perpendicular is negative 1 over 2x minus 8. So we're going to write the equation of the line from the graph. So when you look, you have to first identify two things that we need, the slope and the y-intercept, and you can see the y-intercept of negative 2. Then you could count a positive 2 up, so the change here is plus 2, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4 here. Or if you picked another point, that's looking at these 2 points right here. And there are other points where they intersect pretty evenly, but so our slope would be a negative 1/2, and our y-intercept is the negative 2. So the equation is a negative 1/2 x minus 2. On this one, it crosses at the y-intercept of positive 4, so b is equal to a positive 4, and the slope looks like the other place that it is perfectly crossed, so 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes down 4, and 1, 2, 3, back 3, so we would have a positive 4/3.